Momento Temporis is an indie game that released on early access on Steam on July 7th, 2016. I normally stay away from early access, but the most remarkable thing about this game, the first thing you should know about it, is that it will be leaving early access on September 29th, which means it will have been stayed, if everything goes to plan, it will have stayed in early access for a little over 2 months, which sounds exactly like early access was meant to be used. A near-finished game, the developer wanted some feedback before officially putting the final stamp of approval on it, sent it out to the community, spent 2 months making tweaks, and then it will be launched. Amazing. Alright, that's why we're talking about it for the most part, but it's also really good. So it's a, like, total Metroid-vainia style. I remember playing, the form which I played Metroid games the most was actually on the Game Boy Advance, and I remember loving that. And this is a very, very similar style. I will admit that I'm not all that much through it. I've actually played for a couple hours, not really trying too hard, but it does seem to be like this very open, unguided, you should explore type of thing, which was very much like the original Metroid, and sensing that, I'm deciding to make the video now, because otherwise this video, I'd have to play, like, because I'm not very good at these games, and because there's usually a lot inside them, and by the looks of the Steam page, there are many levels and zones in this game, and I would have to, probably have to play, for, like, weeks before I was actually in a state where I felt like I had consumed most of the game. But honestly, what I've played so far, I think is very much approaching worthwhile the price. And if you actually look at the Steam page and see, get a glimpse at what isn't being shown in this video, you'll see that it probably is very much worth the price. So what do I mean when I say Metroid-vainia? Well, it's 2D platformer, obviously you can tell that, and it has action components to it. And it has puzzle components to it, and I'm about to show you a puzzle here, or at least something that looks like a puzzle to me. And yeah, so is it on the par with the Metroid games? Like, the Metroid GBA games, what do you call that? What was that, Metroid Zero Mission, maybe? No. Art style maybe is a little bit more simplistic. It maybe looks like it could have been made with, Game Maker or something. But it still plays really well, regardless of the fact, and I do like the way it looks a lot. I think it's really cute. All right, let's put this conversation on pause about Metroid-vainia stuff. 2D action platformers by showing you this puzzle. So you have breath here, goes down very quickly, and you actually can't swim, and you move much slower in the water. Or maybe you can swim. Maybe whoop. And then you take a hit of health. So if we actually use this potion, now, you can't use potions again and again to extend your breath. You can only use them to extend it a little. So that's the struggle, is that trying to get to the end here, right? All right, now we start taking hits. Let's use a potion here. And heal. Oh, I actually made it! I've never made that before. Health sphere, increase maximum health. Wow, that's awesome. Okay, I wonder if we can make it back alive now with that, without having to use a potion. No, gotta use a potion. Oh, we didn't make it. Oh no, I wonder if we get to keep that or not. Let's see if our max health goes down. I'm not sure, that looked close. We maybe kept it. Did we keep it? I didn't check the number on the health to the right. Anywho, 2D action platformer, fighting these monsters and exploring a very expansive map. So, to give you an idea, we're gonna actually head to the next zone here, but this is the map for this zone. And the white walls are like where you found a wall. The walls with little gaps in them is where there's a door. And then where there's no white wall on the edge of a room, that means you actually haven't even found the wall yet, so you can keep exploring in that direction. So you can actually see quite a bit. I don't know what the colors mean. You can see quite a bit. There was a boss. Where that little skull is, there's a boss. Where the down arrow is, that's on to the next stage, which is where we're gonna head, because I think that's what we need to do next. And this will give you an idea of the enemy variety and the variety of the artwork, because everything right now kind of looks like it's kind of standard, right? But we're gonna go into a new zone and everything's gonna change and it's gonna blow your minds. Enemy variety, though, I will say that so many of the enemies, at least in this zone, and this is the starting zone, so this could be, oh, look at that, pixel art lens flare. How cool is that? Not, like, these are the purple enemies and this guy. There's actually one other enemy type aside from various turrets and obstacles. So, not great in this zone, and in the next zone it seemed like there was even lower enemy variety, maybe. But at least in the next zone, like, the way you fight the enemies is a little different, I guess. So actually we're gonna go this way for the next zone. The price is $5 US, which is pretty reasonable, I would say, given that there's a confirmed ice zone and confirmed to have its own set of enemies in the video on the Steam page, which isn't always true, like, especially with early access games, but I'm trusting it to be true based on nothing more than the fact, oh, see, I can really wail on these guys, but if you do like a hard hit, like a big kick, and then they're one punch after that, so it's a little bit different. Other things that are classic for this type of genre is tricking the player with platforms that fall out from under you and that kind of thing. Definitely present. I will show some of that off here in just a second. So this is like a hell level, and I assume we're going down. I mean, it's light from the deep, so I assume the goal is to pretty much continue to go down. But there are certain obstacles and areas in the previous where I don't have a big enough jump to actually reach, and so as it says on the Steam page, and as is kind of classic for these games, there's actually a lot of backtracking if you want to keep your player, upgraded and everything, because you will get new abilities, and apparently, Metroid, there's like upgrades to your suit, like this. This is an example. Oh, there's another enemy. This is an example of a jump that you can't make. Well, actually you can. You have to suffer a little bit of lava damage. But then after you get here, this is something, right? There's something here. Push this button and it lowers that for a while. And actually, we can actually look down a little bit more. So it looks like there's gonna be a laser beam bouncing off of those, is sort of what I would guess, maybe. But these, I mean, you can't pass here. So, that's a secret. If we check the map, in fact, we can see that, gotta go somewhere else to get there. And this is just so nostalgic for me. Again, I played on the Game Boy Advance, and this was probably the game I logged the most time into. And it took me years to beat it because I was, a little kid, and it was just so cool every time I would make a breakthrough in my save file of hitting a new zone or, coming up with a new suit upgrade. It was just such a big deal. And this takes the form of magic and seems a little bit more on the casual side of things. And the storyline is a little weaker. Basically, you play as... what is her name? Let me see, I got the Steam page right here. It is Hania. I'm not really sure how to say it, but you trying to find out who you are and maybe someone to help you. That's the current objective, is find someone who can help you. And judging by the fact that I'm already into the second zone without any more guidance than that, I think probably a large portion of the game is just going to be under that one pretense. And Metroid was a little similar, right? Crashed ship, what do we do, right? But there was this sort of like tidbits of there are these, kings of the planet or whatever, and you're trying to destroy them, or... the big brained who's eating people. So here's an example, right? This is the elevator we came down. This is actually a false wall here, and you can actually walk through it, and that's a shortcut back. Very classic, right? To do this parkour puzzle. I don't think there's fall damage either. So, and as a matter of fact, like, one of the funnest things about the game was trying to take a hint. Like, if you look here, you can see there's a doorway there, but if you look at the top of the hallway, can you see my mouse? No, you can't. If you look at the top of this vertical hallway we're in right now, there's like a half doorway, and that's because it's hidden. So like, you don't actually know that until you find one. So like, checking areas like this ledge right here for possibly having a way to go. It's like, you know, then you actually do walk through it, and it's like, wow, found it. You know, it's just amazing feelings. And this game definitely seems to be trying to copy that in a way that works. Like, cause they seem to have it thrown in, at least from the, you know, maybe 2 hours that I've played, seen a couple examples. Here's an example of like a puzzle thing. Like, you wouldn't have been able to get by that thing unless you had let it eat the other guy. And look, see that? It's a trick. I actually kind of spoiled it there. But what you're supposed to do, and what I did the first time, is you jump through here and then you fall down and get eaten by this guy as you hold run. Boom, random slow-mo. Music is good. Nothing to write home about, I would say, but good. And for all I know, there's going to be some awesome soundtracks in various stages I haven't seen yet. So it could be something to write home about. But I think it complements the game perfectly. It was like a more casual Metroid-vainia style game. And boss battle was hard. It took a while to figure out a good pattern to dodge. It was kind of a swarm of 3 tough enemies. The first and only boss battle I've managed to see so far. I forget where this went, but I think it was a dead end. Biggest complaint, oh yeah, this is a dead end. You need another ability, or maybe you're supposed to come at it from a different angle. Two complaints, really. The one was about the enemy variety, but more than the variety is actually the fact that you don't really need to fight any of them. One of the things the Metroid games, or at least the one that I played the most of, did a really great job of is that, you know, sure, you could grind little ammo of your special weapons and stuff off the enemies, and I think the same is true here. Where you can do that, and especially once I unlock magical abilities, which is the alternative that this game took to suit upgrades. But I think that way was a bad way to go. So that seems like, you know, it's worth it, and that's what enemies like these little guys would be for, right? Like, maybe they get a shot off you every once in a while, but for the most part, you know, you don't really need to fight them. But then in Metroid, there were these enemies where, you know, pretty frequently, and in most of the rooms, not most of the rooms, but most of the important rooms, are, you know, there were these enemies that were really good at chasing you down, or really difficult to avoid, or maybe completely blocking your way entirely. I don't see that here. Here's a new enemy type. Here, I'm able to pretty much run past everything. Ooh, look at this, puzzle, whoops. Oh boy. Yeah, see, here's an example of like a really tough enemy that I've come across before. I've actually never been in this room. This is entirely new to me. But I actually couldn't beat this guy, so I'm gonna run past him. But then he doesn't hunt me down, so I don't have to try. And I know that I know that I probably should use a health potion after that. AI is difficult, and Metroid did AI really well, where they would hunt you down. Sometimes, some enemies. And I know that that's difficult, especially for indie to, you know, studio. Like, how do you get a thing that can actually platform? But they weren't that smart in the Metroid games, but even some of them, you know, the way they made them harder was they didn't constrain them to actually, you know, they were flying enemies. Yeah, he hits pretty hard. Yeah, see, there we go. Now I'm not safe. I have to figure out how to fight him. There is a, can I block this guy? Whoops, blocked the wrong way. Ah, he got me. And then in typical Metroidvania style, you're gonna go back to that save point, which was the little altar we stood at. And now we gotta fight through our way through level again. Which is, you know, every time you hit a new, pretty much, you know, what that does, if you do it right, is every time you hit a new save point, actually we're not going that way, are we? Every time you hit a new save point, it's like, really satisfying when you pass a certain hard point. This game captures that too. you know, I wouldn't say that it's copied Metroid in a negative way, because it's definitely a different style of game, and also it's been so long, and I haven't played a game like this. I mean, people told me that Ori and the Blind Forest might be something that would interest me if I really liked that kind of game, and I think it would have been. Unfortunately, I think I watched a little bit too much of the game on YouTube, and ended up, you know, kind of getting the point, and not, you know, would have liked to have been surprised, I guess, maybe, especially with the opening, you know, oh Jesus, whoop, there we go, navigated it safely that time. Yeah, especially with the opening of the game. Let's see, what's down here? That looks like, oh, enemies everywhere. But yeah, look, I mean, the stamina bar is an interesting thing that wasn't in Metroid games that I actually like. You know, you need to conserve your fighting ability, because you will run out of stamina, and then you won't be able to throw any more punches, and then you're kind of screwed if you're backed into a wall. And that's a good mechanic, you know. I think that is in replacement of the special weapons and ammo for like rockets and stuff in Metroid. Thing is about the rockets is they actually gave you a reason to grind out these little guys that otherwise there's no reason to fight. And in fact, like here, we could probably, whoa, what did we just get? Special specs. It becomes more obvious how much punch your punches really have. Oh, so this must be probably damage indicators? Yeah. Were those there before? I'm not really sure. Yeah, I don't need to fight them. Why would I? I'm just asking to get hurt, and I'm not, as you've noticed, they're not really dropping anything. It would be worth it if they dropped, you know, occasionally they drop little health upgrades, and actually they also occasionally drop little rage bubbles that I think increase your damage for a short period of time. And that's something that was added since the release of early access. See, here's the thing, that could be a secret. That looks like Prime Secret location. Nope, nothing. Good thing we have health potions. Yeah, so I think the developers notice this probably based on community feedback, and maybe it's something that they're going to continue to address in these next couple days before official release, or even post-launch. But you know, it is sort of like, well, an example, I guess, of how maybe taking the Metroid, sticking a little bit closer to the Metroid games would have been better. But I could be biased because I really like the Metroid games, and it's very nostalgic for me. So having a new one, or just more of one, would have been really interesting to me. I could understand developers not wanting to make a copy of a game, especially because, you know, gamers kind of look down on that. I personally wouldn't in this case, just for personal reasons, if I want another Metroid game. But anyways, we can keep exploring here. I really only have one more thing to say, and that's the controls. They're good. They're not great though. I am playing with an Xbox 360 controller. I also played with the keyboard and mouse for a little while. They seemed equally as good. I slightly prefer the controller. They seemed equally as adequate though, and equally kind of just barely off from what you would want. Here's another example of like maybe copying a game would have been your best bet. Controls, it's interesting to innovate with different controls, but it doesn't feel like this was intending to be an innovation so much as they tried to, you know, it's just not totally polished yet. And so it looks like we probably, pretty soon, we'll probably get an upgrade to, whoops, there we fall down, to how much we can jump. Here, let's go back and finish exploring this way. How much, so yeah, no reason to kill these guys. They don't really drop much. I mean, maybe, did we come from this way? Why do I vaguely feel like we came from that way? If you're looking for health, maybe kill them, because they do drop little health bubbles. There's a button up there. But, actually I forgot, big hit and one small hit for these guys is the perfect, whoop, ran out of stamina. Yeah, the controls. So the controls for the controllers are pretty much what you would expect, except for the fact that then like the Yeah, that button is like a use button. That's a bumper. So when you want to read a sign, you can press that button, but you can also press up on the D-pad to read a sign. There's like some duplicated controls there. Whoa! Alright, I hit the button. What do you think it did? Is it gonna unhit? Like, do I have to do something now? Let's see what that's done. I'm just gonna move away from that guy who probably would kill me. Yeah, and the keyboard controls, they don't use WASD, they use the arrow keys, which is a little non-standard, but like jump isn't spacebar, spacebar is, what is spacebar? Block? Yeah, block is something I don't use enough. I think I should use it more. It's like the first mechanic they introduced to you, so probably a good idea to use it. Whoa, new enemy type. Wow, that's a lot of... Let's muscle through it, I guess. Ah, ran out of stamina. Gotta keep watching that. Oh boy, these guys are kind of hard to hit. These are very Metroid-esque enemies, right? That like you gotta kind of judge their movement. Very cool. I'm a big fan. How do you think I go here? I can go here. There we go. Can we hit that? Whoa, nice. Ooh, that looks important, but also difficult. Gotta go all at once. What? No, don't turn around. Oh, no. I think when he hit me, I turned around. I don't think I intentionally did that. Yeah. So if there was one change that I would focus on, it would probably be just the controls, just a little bit different. You know, like B button doesn't appear to do anything. Why did we prefer? And actually, they might be able to be rebound, in which case, kind of moot point. Yeah, let's see. So like, what is the use button? Gameplay 1, menus, gameplay 2, activate, use spell. It's D-pad up. Yeah, so like if I hit the, whoops. Can I rebind it? Press the button, button 2. And then did that unbind something here? Doesn't look like it. So, alright. I mean, that's... we can't test it out. We don't have a sign to read. Actually, maybe we can test it out on the save point here. So, you know what? Key binding gives... And that was intuitive key binding. That was... So, I will rescind that criticism because you can re-keybind things however you want, and that's always good. Yeah, so my only complaint would be these enemies. There are no enemies aside from those devils, I guess. And maybe this is just because I'm so early on into the game, but it really seems like even in the first world, it would have been interesting to see some actually difficult enemies that you can't just jump over and walk past. And that problem could also be solved, potentially, in a different way, which is give me a reason to actually confront these enemies, aside from just they're in my way. And like, for example, some sort of ammo, which maybe once I get magic, that will actually come into play. Maybe I have to like refill my magic by killing enemies. I don't know what the mechanic will be like there. But like I said, 2 hours and then this realization that probably the best min-max way to go is going to be, you know, wow, I did it again. Yeah, it definitely turned me around. But realizing that the best way to go is probably going to be to just jump over everything so that I don't get hit. Not the most engaging gameplay. Looks like our task right now is hitting a bunch of buttons. Yeah, but if you are a Metroid-vainia style game fan, you will love this and you will probably find it well worth. It's going to take you a lot of time to play, it appears, and you will probably find it well worth the $5. So check it out on Steam. This is Momento Temporis, Light from the Deep. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for being an awesome audience. That's it for me for now. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.